name is Sarah. Welcome to the It's a Sarah podcast. Today is Monday. It is Monday, November 27, 2023, and this is episode 118. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. And I make my episodes in Dutch and in English, so be sure you pick the right one. Okay. Today is quite a rainy and grey day. It's also quite cold, so when I picked my outfit for the day, I thought, what do I need today? And it was a warm woolly layer, so I chose my Felix cardigan. I made it in February together with a lot of other knitters. And it's one of my favorite garments to wear. I used Let Lopey for it. And it's quite a basic garment in one color and a simple shape and just a lovely detail for the raglan. And it's quite interesting because I have quite some fancy garments with color work or different colors or whatever. But these days I just want my basic garments, and I'm quite often wearing my Felix cardigan or my Sunday cardigan, and those are the most boring items I own. Not boring, the most basic items I own. They were boring to knit, more boring than the all over colorwork patterns, but I love to wear them. So I'm also wearing my Hydra headband. It's my one of my favorite headbands, designed by Lerke from Fiber Tales, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. I want to make a new one, but it didn't happen. I have a lot to tell you this week, to share with you, but I'm not in a good mood, no, in a good shape. I started over filming this podcast episode for maybe 10 times now, and every time I say I say other things that I want to say, and it sounds clumsy or whatever. So I decided I am not allowed to start over again right now. And I regret that already, but we won't start again because it's quite late in the afternoon and I will run out of time. So let's go to the knitting. Let's start with some crochet, because last week I was a little bit worried that I was losing my knitting mojo. I never had that feeling before, that I didn't want to knit, but it was only for one evening, and I think I just was a bit tired and overwhelmed after our trip to Prague. But I brought a really good souvenir with me that was perfect for not losing your crafty mojo, not your crochet mojo. You could see my basket filled with all the nice colors. My color inspiration was based on the colored houses I saw in Prague, the houses, the little houses, but also the big buildings. And we had the Yarn Queen, the yarn shop in our street, in the same street as our apartment. And my birthday was that week, so I picked a big basket. I filled a big basket with all the nice Prague colors, and I was doubting about what kind of blanket I would make. So I spent some hours. I don't know if it were hours. I spent some time on Ravelry, and there were a lot of people giving me nice suggestions. So thank you for that. I didn't use them. That's who I am. I'm sorry. But I checked them all, and I saw the most lovely blankets, the house blanket, and all kinds of different blankets, and I really loved it. It was not really my idea to make houses, because it was the color inspiration and not really the shape. I really loved the house blanket. I don't know if that's the official name, the knitted garter stitch blanket with all the tiny houses. I really loved it, but I'm a granny square lover, and my love for granny squares is really a true deep love, deep love. And I'm also not an adventurous granny square lover. I just love the basic granny square the much. The most basic one. It's so hard jumping to me. Nothing can beat that granny square to me. Yeah, in my case. So all the patterns I saw, I thought, it's not a granny square. So I came to the conclusion I would make a granny square blanket. It was my plan in the beginning, and it didn't change. I showed you the fireside blanket last week, but I realized that was not a basic granny square. It was it wasn't adventurous. It was with a round shape, but I loved the squared shape. And there was also a pattern on Ravelry, a little bit older pattern, with the same construction as the fireside blanket, but then with basic granny squares. And I really loved that one. Only I used fingering weight. I would use fingering weight yarn, and that was based on a DK weight yarn. So I thought the squares would be too tiny. So I started my blanket, and I am this far right now. I love it. I love it, but there are some doubts. I started with this square. Yeah, I have to hold it this way. It's not important, but it's just, this is my morning work. I work on this every morning, and I usually crochet one square and I weave in all the ends, and it's just, I think, half an hour, I guess, I roundabout. And when it's weekend, I am allowed to make 2 squares or a bigger one. So, but I only work on this project in the morning, because that way it will stay special to me. It's a hard jumping activity, which really helps me get out of bed. That sounds quite dramatic. It isn't that I can't get out of bed when I don't have a granny square in the near future, but it really helps. It's the dark time of the year, the cold time of the year, and when you are in bed. I'm really a morning person. I'm really awake early always, so it's not a problem to me, but it helps when I think of my granny square. Oh, I can make a granny square, and then I jump out of my bed into the shower, and then it's a good start of the day. So, and before I granny square, I do all the mom things. I fill all the lunch boxes and make some breakfast for the kids, and make tea and coffee. And so it's not the first thing I do in the morning, but when I've done all those things, I'm dressed up. I always dress up immediately, and then I do the mom things, and then I sit down with a cup of coffee and my crochet, and the kids are there to have their breakfast, and then the day starts. It's around somewhere between 7 and 8, 7:30 in the morning. That's the time when I am a happy woman. Sitting and crochet with a cup of coffee. Yeah, favorite start of the day. There are some doubts. Let's start with the shape. I have to add 4 little granny squares at the top, and then this shape is ready. And there is a little doubt about what to do next, because when those 4 squares are added, I have to add a new big square, and then again those tiny squares. You have horizontal and vertical lines of tiny squares with bigger squares in the middle. My tiny squares are 5 rounds, 3 rounds of color 1, 1 round of color 2 and 3. And the bigger squares are 10 rounds, 7 rounds of color 1, 2 of color 2 and 1 of color 3. The point is, when I do it as I said, my blanket will be bigger and bigger. And of course, that's the meaning of a blanket, but it will be quite a big piece of fabric on our breakfast table. Not immediately, but at the end it will be. So the other option is what I normally do when those 4 squares are added. I have a square and I could put it away and make a new square. And I could put it on, I can make a big pile of those squares. And at the end I can, oh, I'm not watching it. Oh, I'm distracted by the light. I'm sorry. I tried to focus on the camera. At the end I have a big pile of squares and I can add them as I go. I join every square as I go. That's there's absolutely no chance that I would sew them together. Absolutely not. That's not possible. I don't like that. So as I go is the only way I do it, and I really like it. I would join them as I go together, and maybe I would use one main color that also could be different colors, but then the pattern would be different. It would be bigger squares instead of lines of tiny squares with big squares in the middle. And I don't know what to do. It's more practical to do it that way because I only have this much, and every now and then I can add them when I'm sitting on the couch and at another moment. But maybe I love the look of the not so practical option more. And it's also, I just don't know. For a moment I thought, when it's on our bed, we don't have a really woolen handmade bed blanket. When it's on our bed, you can really see the pattern. But then I decided, no, it will be a blanket on the couch. My family, my children and my husband, they all use the blankets quite often. And our Prague, I always say Prague. Our Prague trip was a trip that we made together. So it will be a blanket for everyone, not only on our bed, but for everyone. So I just didn't decide yet. So we shall see. But I have 4 squares to make. So today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, on Saturday I have to decide if I will join it, immediately attach it to this part, or if I will make another square. I will share it with you, of course. So I'm very happy. I'm also happy with the colors. There is a little detail I didn't foresaw. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but it's dark in the morning, and I have a big basket filled with colors, but some colors are quite close to each other, and it's quite hard to see that in dark. So I have to make my color combination for the next day by daylight. So I have to think about that. So it's already planned by daylight, so I can see it quite good. And then when it's dark in the early morning, it's okay. And also about the color combination, when I really do a planned color combination, so I really think about the right colors and the balanced colors, and I have some colors, some squares which are really based on the pictures I made in Prague. This one, this building, it was a school building, and I can see the building immediately. So it was based on that building, and also this one and this one. But there are also just, I do not only use the color combinations from the pictures. I also make new color combinations. And that's a bit of the playing part. And the fun of the playing part is that you get some surprisingly color combinations. And sometimes they are really beautiful, and sometimes they are not perfect. But that's part of the playing part, and it's more fun to make. So there was also a little doubt when I really plan the colors and really think about it, and when I really do it by head. I think the blanket will be beautiful, more beautiful than when I allow myself to play more. So when I play and choose the colors by heart, yeah, there's actually choosing by heart's always good. Is the thing I always tell myself. But when you choose by heart, there will be the risk that it's not a perfect color combination, and yeah, but it is more fun. So I already decided that I allow myself to play. So I do not plan, I play. So that's the fun part of the blanket. So I'm really having fun, and it's really lovely, and I really love the colors, and it really reminds me to Prague. So it will be a slow project, but I am not in a hurry. We don't need a blanket. We have blankets, so it's just for fun, and yeah, I love granny squares so much. Yeah. Okay. When I know what I will do, I will share it with you. I don't have a project page yet. I do use my crochet hook number 3mm needles, and I will make a Ravelry page with all the details. Oh, not with all the color combinations, all the color numbers. That's too much work. I don't like that. But I'm a bit behind with all my knitting administration, and that's okay. But it will be there one day. Okay, then the other thing I worked on some socks, but I won't show them today. But the other thing I worked quite a lot. Now I didn't knit a lot. There was not a lot of knitting time. It was a busy week, but I spent most of my knitting time on my husband's cardigan, and it's living in this beautiful project bag I received from a Dutch maker. Her name is Rachel, and her shop name is Rachelebel. And when I was filming my Dutch episode, just before this one, I was looking to this fabric, and suddenly I realized I want a hinterland dress in this fabric. That would be perfect. So I will send her a message, but I'm quite sure she used all the fabric for those beautiful project bags, and I can't blame her because it's really my favorite at the moment. I did order some fabric for my hinterland dress. It's really, I have really a hard time making that dress. It's all happening in my head. But I will make the dress, but I couldn't find the perfect fabric. But this fabric is nearly perfect, I guess. I didn't receive it yet. I hope it will be delivered quite soon, so I can start with the dress, because last weekend I saw a lovely hinterland dress on a knitter's body, and I really loved it, and it inspired me to make one my own. But it's a hard process. But I really want to be a person that can make a dress for herself. So yeah. It will happen. But in this beautiful project bag is living the cardigan for my husband, and it's getting quite big. I am using a pattern, but it is quite modified. I am using the Zipper Sweater Light Men pattern from Petite Knit, and that's actually a sweater. I did start with another pattern, but it wasn't making me happy. This one is, especially because it's top down. I do make a cardigan of it, so I didn't, for the original pattern you knit back and forth until a certain length, and then you join in the round. I didn't do it. I knit back and forth all the time, and I do a broken rib stitch instead of stockinette, and it seems to work out pretty good. The fit is perfect for my husband, and it's really looking good on him. I don't know which word to use. On him, when he's wearing it, when when we check the fit, it's looking very good. It's quite fun because I realized when I'm knitting a garment for myself, the idea of me wearing it, it's really motivating me while knitting. And I realized when I was working on this, I miss that feeling. Every time when I'm knitting something for myself, you do a quick fit in between. If you can see if all is going well. And I did do a fit on my husband, but then there was endless body knitting with no shaping, so no fit was necessary. And I didn't feel the motivation. But then on my lap, it's looking quite big, bigger than when it's on his body. But when I thought, oh, I have quite some length, shall we fit? So to check. And when he was wearing the cardigan, it was way too short. It was way shorter than I thought. But when he was wearing it, it was a heart jumping moment. I think when the love of your life is wearing a hand knit cardigan by you, it's really heart jumping. So now we do a fit every day. My husband thinks it is because of the fit, but actually it's more for my motivation to see my handsome man in that handsome cardigan, that pretty cardigan. So it's not necessary for the fit, but every evening I ask him, okay, you fit it for 1 minute. Okay, he said, is it okay? And the only thing I do is, oh, it's getting so beautiful. It looks so good on you. So that also works for motivation. Working on a knitted item or even crochet, working on a garment feels a bit like climbing a mountain. Although I think it feels the same because I never climbed on a mountain. But when you start with a new knitting project, you are all filled with fresh energy and motivation. You have new yarn, new pattern, or maybe it's a pattern you already know, but it's such a fun pattern that you decide to make it again, and you are so there we go, as if you are at the start of a hike. And then you go and you start hiking and you are looking around, oh, see the beautiful surrounding, oh, it's so beautiful here, and you are really having fun. That same feeling I had when I started this cardigan. I started with a color that was not hard, but it was new to me how to make it. And then the raglan, and it was also, it was so much fun to see how it was working out, the stitch pattern with the raglan and the shape, and oh, so much fun. And then when I split for the sleeves, we stuck on the body, and that was the moment when you are climbing the mountain, climbing the hill, and all the new is familiar to you. So the surrounding is still beautiful, the yarn is still beautiful, but we know that by now. And the stitch pattern and the fit, yeah, we know it. But the end is so far. So it is, so you get out of motivation, you lost steam. Do you say it like that? You lost steam? And then you need all your willpower and self-discipline to keep on knitting because it's so boring. I really feel that. And of course, knitting is also, the rhythm of knitting is also giving you some peace and relaxation, but it was mainly boring, and it was so much knitting, and it was such a big garment. I have a tiny size, so I am not used to making big garments. And it's I know it's DK yarn, so it's not even on small needles. But at some point you are suddenly on the top of the hill. I was suddenly at the bottom of the body, and then when you are on the top of the hill, you can rest a bit and you can look around you and enjoy the beautiful sights around you. And then you go down. And going down, it also takes attention and energy, because walking down can also be quite hard. But it's going faster, and you see the end goal, you see your destination, and it's feeling, so much more easy. So I'm on that point right now. So that's really nice. I'm at the sleeve. I really love knitting sleeves. I really love knitting to the point, to another decrease in this case. The little decrease, the decrease every 9th row, I guess, really divide the whole sleeve in small steps, and that always works out pretty good for me. And the fit is perfect, and I know that because of our daily fit sessions. Yeah, we shall see. And I also don't have the second sock, no, not the second sock, the second sleeve syndrome, because I even love the second sleeve more, because now I have to think and I have to fit and I have to check. But when the first sleeve is done, I know exactly what to do on the second sleeve, so that will be done in a minute. So I am really looking forward to that. I did add a little nice detail at the bottom hem. I don't know if you can see it. This line. I got a lovely Dutch lady shared an Instagram reel with me in a DM. And it was a little reel of creating a nice line between different kinds of fabric. And the reel, I will link it down below. Maybe you also can see it when you don't have Instagram, but just on your internet browser, I'm not sure. It was quite a bright, not quite, it was a very bright yellow sleeve, I guess, with some stockinette stitch and a twisted rib, I guess. And in between, a nice, not even slip stitches. The stitches are horizontal, the knit stitches are vertical, and it was laying down, and it was really creating a nice border between the different stitches. And I love that idea. Every now and then when I'm knitting a sock, I add a purl row in between the stockinette part and the ribbing part, just because I love a little bit of a border idea. So I was really charmed by this idea. And the point is, with this stitch, I knit the broken rib stitch for the whole garment, except the ribbing. But it is a rib stitch. The broken rib stitch is you knit all the stitches at the right side and you do knit one, purl one at the wrong side. But for the ribbing, you do knit one, purl one, just a simple ribbing. But the difference between those stitches, the difference between the fabric they create is so tiny that you can see it, but it's not clear. And it's really, I really loved the idea of making a line in between. So that is really something I liked. What I don't like is my bind off. I did a crochet bind off, my favorite, but it didn't work out for this garment. I think I did it a little bit too loose, so it's a little bit flaring, and I am really afraid to bind off my garments too tight, because I think that's really, really annoying, and maybe it will block out. I didn't decide what to do. I did decide that I would check the sleeves first. I would complete the sleeve and play with different bind offs at the sleeve before I decide what to do, and because this is quite more work, but I'm quite sure I will rip out the bind off and redo it. And I'm thinking of a sewn bind off, and it's quite weird because I really don't like the sewn bind off. I am not very impressed by the look of it. Everybody is always so that it's so beautiful, the beautiful edge, and I did do it on the sweater, but I didn't like the feeling. And it was not that the look was so perfect to me, but in some kind of way, it's popping in my head every time. You should do a sewn bind off. I don't know if I really would do a tubular bind off, or just with one needle, I guess, with no setting up rows. just a simple sewn bind off. It's coming along all the time, so maybe I should not ignore that. I am ignoring it right now because I don't want to do it. But maybe it's the meaning. I don't know. Maybe it's the meaning I do it. We shall see. But I'm really having fun with this one. I only think I ran out of yarn. So I have to contact the yarn shop if they have the same dye lot still. But I don't want to go to the yarn shop. It's not in my city. It's quite close. We shall see. So I hope it will be finished quite soon. I did cast on a new little knitting project, and that is another hat. I showed you my classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho last week, and I casted on another one. I just have a very big basket filled with long yarn Jawol, the sock yarn from Long Yarns. It was gifted to me in the time I worked for them, and it's not my favorite sock yarn. I think it's quite thin. I don't like it, but when I held it double, it's okay. Also for socks. So I have a big basket with all kinds of colors, and I thought I really love the classic ribbed hat by Pearl Soho. It was just so satisfying to make. So it's such a relaxing knitting work, and I thought let me cast on that work. I want something in every space of our room. Now, not my children's bedrooms, but so when I have to wait for the laundry or whatever, in every space I have a knitting work I can pick up and knit a few rows every. I'm an addict. You need your addiction everywhere. Never maybe far away. So I'm in the middle of a row right now. So I don't have a plan. It's not for someone specific. I do have a plan for the colors. I want to knit this up. I think this is less than that. So I want to knit it up, and I think I will add another color on the crown. But we shall see. Again, I casted on the child size, 96 stitches on a 3mm needle, and it is enough for an adult. Oh, I have to look to stay focused. It is enough for an adult hat. I'm a loose knitter, so I think it's because of that. But the adult size, I don't love these kinds of hats to be too wide. They can be a little bit, there's so much stretch in the fabric. Too wide is not what I like. Okay, then I have another little cast on. It accidentally happened just before I started filming. It was not a planned one. I always wear leg warmers. I really am attached to them, and I have two pairs. A black pair. They are really long and really nice, but I didn't use very good yarn. I regret that. It was I think a bit of a fuzzy sock yarn in colors I didn't like, and I painted it black, but it's not. For leg warmers, it's better to use a rustic yarn, I guess. And I also owned a pair of leg warmers in a rustic yarn. I knitted them quite some years ago, but the problem with that pair was that they were a little bit too short and a little bit too wide. But nevertheless, I did wear them anyway. And this morning I was wearing my black leg warmers, but when I walked with the dog through the rain, they were all wet. It was so wet outside, so I wanted to change them for my brown ones. But then I saw there a little piece of yarn did break, and some stitches were unraveling at the beginning. No, at the end, at the bottom of the leg warmer. I couldn't see immediately if it was the beginning of the bottom. So suddenly I was searching for the beginning, and then I was frogging my leg warmer, and suddenly I was casting on a new pair of leg warmers. So, because I need leg warmers in my life. But it is a bit exciting in several ways, because I'm knitting two at the same time. And I must confess, I'm a bit of a clumsy knitter. So knitting two things at the same time at the same needle It is quite a challenge to me. I did knit 2 socks at the same time again. I did knit, no, not again. I did knit a pair of 2 socks, 2 at a time. I'm not saying it correctly. Doesn't matter, you know what I mean. But sock knitting is for me really something, a knitting project I put in my backpack or I can grab all the time. And when I knit 2 at the same time, I really have to focus on how I sit. One yarn ball there, one there, and change every time. I really have to focus. And when I sit still and don't do anything crazy, it works out pretty good. But yeah, it's not an on-the-go work for me. But I really want to do it, and because my 3 needle millimeter tips were busy knitting the classic ribbed hat, and I only had one with a fixed cable, a long fixed cable. So, and I didn't want to make one at a time. So I did follow a video of Chili Dog, how to cast on, and then I start and I only knit 3 rows, and I made a little video of it. I will share it at the end if it's okay. Because you can see me tangled with 2 needles and all the yarn, and I totally forgot I was filming, so maybe I do it out of screen, I don't know, but it was quite a challenge to me. But now we are on track, so I think it will work out. It's a bit knitting on the edge because my other pair of leg warmers I knitted in this yarn was 48 stitches, but those were way too wide. And now I casted on 40 stitches, and 8 stitches less is quite a difference. But I didn't like to do 44 because when you do 44, it's not, you can't divide it in groups of 4. So I do, for this leg warmers, I chose to do knit 3, purl 1. And then at the end of the needle, when you are doing magic loop, you have to do knit 2. And at the beginning of the needle, you have to do knit 1, purl 1. The last stitch group of 4 is divided in 2, and I don't like that. So I chose 20-20 on both needles, 40 stitches in total. So you don't have that problem, but I don't know if the fit will be wide enough for leg warmers. But I also decide when it's not wide enough for leg warmers, I just make slouchy socks. It is not a sock yarn, it is a rustic Dutch yarn. It's from Dutchy, from Texel, from an island. We have some little islands at the top of the Netherlands, the Waddeneilanden, and Texel is the biggest one. And this is Texel's sheep wool in the color brown boot. It's a sheep, not a brand. You don't say it, brand. In Dutch we call it ras. I don't know, there's a word for it, but I can't remember. Breed? No, I don't know, doesn't matter. You know, I know you know. I know you're all screaming. You're all saying the word to me right now. Not screaming, just saying. So I will work on this, and when it's not working out as leg warmers, I will add a heel and a foot from sock yarn with some nylon, because I will walk holes in this immediately, and the top will be socks. So okay, that was it. Last Saturday I had a really fun day. I had a handwerkdag, that's the Dutch word, a crafty day, a day for knitters and crocheters. It was organized by a knitting friend, her name is Liefs, and it was her first time organizing such a day with, I think, around about 25-30 ladies. We came together in a group space, and we knit and chat all day and crochet and eat the nice things. Everybody brought some nice food with her, and it was just such a fun day. And I didn't film or photograph anything. I told you last week in Prague, I realized I don't love doing that. I really love sharing and filming and photographing when I'm alone, but not when I'm with other people. So when I was on my way to that day, I thought I will not touch my phone today. And that was really nice because I really could connect with the other people. There were so much lovely conversations, sometimes fun, sometimes really deep and vulnerable, and sometimes inspiring. And I saw all the most beautiful knitting and crochet work, and just feeling the connection with other knitters and crocheters is so much fun. Since I quit my job as a teacher on a primary school, I don't have colleagues anymore. So I always say the other crafters are my colleagues, and I have a meeting with my colleagues every now and then, and it's really fun. There were quite some people I already know, but also some new people, and yeah, it's really hard jumping that community which what is the word? Which started online, has some offline. It's also happening in offline. Sorry, I'm struggling with the words. So you can really be with the other people. It's really nice, and it's in another way than when you are going to a knitting event to buy stuff, because then everybody's walking around and focused on the stands, and that's also fun and okay. But now it was all about connection, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and it was heartwarming and heart jumping. And yeah, really nice. So yeah, I hope you have something in your where you live too, that you can come together. There are quite some people who don't have knitters in their family or friends group, and it's nice that you have a place where you can go to meet other knitters. And it's perfect when that can happen in real life, but when you are living somewhere it's not possible to go to a knitting group or whatever, you can also create it online through Zoom meetings or whatever. Just the connection is so. I think we need other human just to be together and inspiring and connect. It's good for the soul. So, especially because a lot of knitters are quite introvert. I also am. I really love a good chat and whatever, but I never get bored when I'm home alone. Home alone is my favorite. It's always okay, but when you really love to be home alone, you sometimes forget how nice it is to meet other people. And I am lucky. I live in the city. I have a lot of lovely people around me, so it's okay. But it's good to get among the people every now and then. Also for introverts. then they can go back to their safe home the rest of the week. I do. Okay. So that was enough for today. I hope you have a very nice week. Oh no, I want to share one thing. This is my last episode of November. December is near. It was quite shocking. When did that happen? December, the last month of the year. And of course the Advent period starts. It's quite a special time of the year. There is happening a lot, and I think it's always a bit of a challenge to find the balance between the quietness of this dark time and all the brightness and all the festive things of the December month. I really feel the need to slow down and turn inside, and I really love the idea of Advent to choose for quietness. The weeks before Christmas, and then go out when it's Christmas, all festive and glitter and glamour. But for me, it's I don't like. For example, we put in the Christmas decoration the day before Christmas. We used to do it more early, but I always get annoyed by all those how do you say it? In Dutch we call it prikkels. It was overwhelming to me. But when I found out we put in a Christmas tree 2 weeks before Christmas, and we only add lights, and I really love the tree and I really love the lights, but no festive things further, just the day before Christmas, because then the festivity starts, and that really suits me better than starting too early with all the festivity. And I know a lot of people are enjoying all the festivity so much. You really should enjoy, but that's perfect. But it wasn't working out for me, and I always thought, am I crazy? But now I found a way that I can enjoy the little lights and the little simplicity and the little slow down and easy peasy and not doing too much, and then enjoying the festivity at Christmas time and celebrating the old year going over into the new year, and then it's okay. So I won't do anything special the coming weeks. I don't do Vlogmas. I will just make my regular episodes on Mondays, and at Christmas time I don't make episodes because the festivities will be on Mondays, and I normally make an end of the year episode in which I show all my handmade garments from handmade items from last year, but I decided to not do it because I am feeling quite overwhelmed for quite a while right now. There's so much inspiration. I told about it last week. There is so much inspiration, so much beautiful things that there are to make, and it's not working out for me right now. It's a little bit too much, but I struggled a bit with the feeling that I am doing the same. I'm also making YouTube episodes and showing this and showing that, and maybe I'm giving you the same feeling as and that's not, I just want to chat about knitting and all the things around it without giving you that feeling. So it's okay to not make oh, look what I made episode at the end of the year. Although I do like to see it from other people, but it's just not feeling with the energy I feel right now. I really feel the need to slow down and just take time for things. No rush, no hurry. I'm really sensitive for the rushed feeling right now. I'm really vulnerable. That's the second time I used the word because I think it's quite hard to pronounce good, but I hope I do it right. I'm proud of myself. No special things. I don't even own an advent calendar. It's just I have enough wool. I have enough yarn. I will make a Christmas knit, and I will talk about more of that later, but just easy peasy, no rush, no hurry. I also will enjoy some Christmas festivities and Vlogmas videos, but not all. It's too much. Just enjoy the quiet time. I think it's important to not forget, and it's quite attractive to bring all the busyness into your house through the internet, but we must not forget we also need reload, recharge time, quiet time, just a candle, maybe a little bit of music, or maybe even not music, and just sit and knit with your own thoughts, searching for your own light so you can bring your light out in the world when it's Christmas. Yeah. Okay, I will try. Okay, that was it for today. I wish you a very nice week with hopefully a lot of heart jumping moments, and I will see you next Monday. Bye bye.